fight on the landing ground.
Thank you for joining me. This is A Radio and the Morning Minute. I want you to listen to this article that you're going to hear in a minute. And I want you to realise that the article was in 2011. That means that they had this information 5 years ago. That means Trudeau and co, Soros and co, the United Nations and co, everybody, all the Liberals, all the Conservatives, everybody in this country knew about this if they'd done their homework 5 years ago. Yet they still want to impose this carbon dioxide tax on us with the damage that it's going to be causing. Listen to the report and you make your mind up. This is a clip from the Daily Telegraph in 2011 and it's by Christopher Booker. Well, what a surprise. Could be the only response to the last week's news that the Longannet coal-powered power station in Scotland has finally abandoned its £1 billion project at our expense to develop carbon capture and storage. There was no more fatuous symbol of our make-believe national energy policy than this delusion that we could somehow pipe away millions of tons of CO2 emissions from our power stations to bury in holes under the North Sea. Yet, our main parties were united in their wish to see billions of pounds poured into the project, which at best would have doubled the cost of electricity, but which has never and is never going to work anyway. There have been faint glimmerings of reality lately, breaking in on the dream world into which our politicians have been led by their obsession with global warming. As soaring energy prices up to 18% help to push inflation to its highest level in 20 years, listen to that, Canada, everything the government has done to fight climate change has also been driving millions more people into fuel poverty. Listen to that, Canada. Last week, a new study suggested that this is already causing 2,700 deaths a year in England and Wales. That's what I said to you. It's going to cause people's deaths. And Trudeau and Wynne and all the premiers in Canada need to be held personally accountable for that in criminal cases. Admittedly, the most conspicuous response last week was from Chris Hone, the Energy and Climate Change Secretary, who merely pleaded with our electricity suppliers to make it easier for customers to shop around and see whose prices were rising slightly less than others. But in 15 months' time, his government's new carbon floor price, forcing our electricity firms uniquely in Europe to pay £16 for every tonne of CO2 they emit, will burden our bills to the tune of £3 billion, or 16%. Rising to £70 a tonne in 2030. 2030. See the significance of that? Agenda 2030. Possibly more significant, however, was George Osborne's observation to the Tory conference that we know that a decade of environmental laws and regulations are piling costs on energy bills of households and companies, and that we are not going to save the planet by putting our country out of business. Our commitment under the Climate Change Act to spend £18 billion a year on cutting emissions is already driving energy-intensive firms out of business or forcing them abroad. It seems we are about to lose what remains of our aluminium industry. Half of it disappeared last year to the Middle East, taking 600 jobs with it. Without a change in policy, much of our chemical, steel, ceramics is likely to follow suit. Just as significant may be the disagreements beginning to emerge in the place where much of the policies originates, i.e. Brussels. The EU Directorate concerned with energy seems at last to be waking up to the fact that as long as Europe is bent on decarbonising its economy, while the rest of the world sails on regardless, it could face economic catastrophe. That's what I've been saying. We're in real trouble doing this on our own. Clearly, says a Commission report, Europe cannot act alone in an effort to achieve global decarbonisation. And there you have it. And there you have it, the clear fact that it puts prices up to the extent that you cannot compete. And for us in Canada, that is us against the United States in fair competition. We do not stand a hope. And Trudeau, with his apology tour, is busy saying, we're going to do really well. We do studies in a much more superior way than the United States. The arrogance of the guy. He's going to stand there on his little platform while your job disappears, while your house disappears. They don't care. As long as they worship the almighty God, Soros, and the almighty United Nations and Agenda 2030. Because, make no mistake, that's what this is about. And you can find more of this on my website, and I will put a link to it. You can find more at aradio.wordpress.com. I'm on Twitter at @ARadioCanada. I'm also on Facebook at @ARadioCanada. I'm now on Gab at @ARadio. You can email me at aradiocanada@gmail.com. And you can also listen to my morning minutes on Spreaker.com under A-Radio. That's EHRADIO, A-Radio. And please click the like button. And you can also find all my podcasts and morning minutes at aradio.wordpress.com and click on the Morning Minutes tab.